There's too many world champions in the sport of boxing. We had Rolly, who was the WBA champion. At lightweight, we had Tank, that was the WBA champion. At lightweight, we had Devin Haney, was the WBC champion at lightweight, and then Camboso, who fought Devin Haney, had the WBC, the WBA, the WBO, and the IBF. Once again, there's too many champions at these different weight classes. And the reason why is because they said, well, why is there so many champions? Well, let me tell you guys what goes on in the sport of boxing that they're not telling you. Every time a fighter fight, he pays a sanctioning fee. A champion fight, he pays a sanctioning fee. If they got 3 champions or 4 champions, they get money from all 4 of those champions when they should only be collecting money from 1 champion. It's not a such thing as an interim champion. You got guys walking around carrying belts, and people think they're champions, and they're not really champions. They basically handing out belts. When I was fighting, you had to really earn it. What we're doing is we're watering the sport down. Everybody is champion now. We have to clean the sport of boxing up. There's too many champions at these weight classes.
What's good, family? Shout out to the boss man, Dougie Fresh, for boosting up your man the YB coin. You best believe it. Obviously the beard fresh right now, 100%. So we just heard there from your mans, Floyd. Yeah, Floyd going for it, Mayweather. Now, listen. You man know me. I'm the first one to jump on Floyd. But he been kind of on point still. Yeah? He was crying, showing his effeminate side, and I did a long video on that. And now he dropping the lyrics, airing out his own stable. This was peak, you know, it was peak. He goes, oh man, you know, the belts are all messed up, and you got Raleigh. How's Raleigh got a belt? You got Tank Davis. How's he got a belt? And then he did wild out a bit. He started talking about Devin Haney, but the way he started off, I thought, what? No way. No way Floyd's airing out all of his stable who have fake ass belts. But he ain't capping. And this is what I like about Floyd. Floyd's ego is so big, yeah. When he notices things aren't benefiting him, like for a long time he would say, oh, I've beat the most world champions. Oh, I was 7 weight divisions champion. Now, because of all the belts in boxing, you see, loads of people can say similar things. Oh, I'm 7-time champion, and oh, I've beat 10 world champions, and all this kind of stuff. So the minute, you know what I mean, the minute the sport starts to undermine Floyd's legacy, that's when he don't give a F. Yeah, he don't care about who's in his stable. If it means his ego has to be, or if it undermines his ego, he gonna air you out. Do you understand? If he sees you, and that's what I've been saying about Tank and Floyd. Tank needs to leave Floyd, because Floyd will never, ever allow Tank to become bigger than him. You can already hear him. Think about it. Floyd represents Rolly, Bumero, yeah, and Tank Davis. He should really, as a promoter, he could talk from a broad point of view, i.e. there's too many belts, but he shouldn't be naming people out. Oh, Tank's got a belt he shouldn't have, and Tank's got a fake belt, and Rolly's got a fake belt. He should, if anything, he should just stick on Haney, but that would be too hard, because Haney's got the real belts, and Floyd knows that. So he had to air his own fighters out. There's no way he could have said, oh, there's too many belts, look at Haney, because that don't make no sense. Haney is still a neo champ. Haney beat the man who beat the man. Lomachenko was the man. Yeah? Tuicafimo Lopez was the man. George Bombosas was the man. And now Devin, the king, Dev the dream Haney is the man. That's Lineal. Floyd can say whatever he wants to say. He can't. There ain't no belt question about Dev Haney. The belt question is with your stable. I mean, I'm not even. The sad thing is, yeah, Floyd's right about there being too many belts, but it's peak because, in all honesty, your mans don't have no belts. Oops. Yeah, your mans have the minor trinkets. So, yeah, there is a belt problem, but not with the fighters you've mentioned. There isn't, is there? Let's be real now. Really, is there a problem with Tank having some irrelevant belt? No. No one don't know the belt he got. Oops. Yeah. So, Floyd was right, but he's wrong. He's barking at the wrong tree. And that's why Floyd says, oh, there should be 4 belts. And that's where I disagreed with him. There shouldn't be 4 belts. In my opinion, really, 2 belts at the most. Why even 2? Because I think 2 can actually build some hype. Yeah, one's really, well, one works for sure, but 2 is cool because then you can have undisputed unifications. And that's sometimes what the UFC does. And I don't know about you, man, but sometimes in the UFC, yeah, when they have fights, when you've got the interim champ versus the champion, it does have a different feel to it. You're like, oh, who's the real champ? What was it? Was it John Jones versus Cormier? At one point, Cormier was or something like that. It's been a few examples, and it does ask questions. Oh, who's the real champ? And that would be them same questions, and that same energy would exist in a 2-belt division. Yeah, but 4 is ridiculous. 4 is as bad as it is now, in my opinion. Because, like I said, Tank having a knockoff belt and Rolly having a knockoff belt, that isn't the issue. No one don't, apart from Floyd and Mayweather Promotions, yeah, no one don't know about them anyway. Let's be real now. No one knows that Tank's a world champion. No one don't know. Same as Rolly. I mean, again, that's insulting. It's insulting to Devin Haney to imply that, and that's maybe what Floyd was doing actually. I just said that Floyd was throwing shade at Rolly and Tank, but in a way, he was putting Tank and Rolly in the same boat as Devin Haney. Oh, there's too many belts. Look how Devin's got belts and Tank. Listen, as many belts as Devin has, his ain't none of the problem. Yeah, and that's the thing. He's undisputed them all. So there is only Devin Haney is now essentially a 1-belt champion in as much as he has them all. So there's no problem with that. The problem is when you've got 4 goofies who don't want to fight. Yeah, 4 random ass dudes just hanging about the place, which was the case at 168, for example, until Canelo came along. Everyone was, I mean, Billy Joe didn't fight no one. Plant Pot didn't fight no one. Bummer Vides don't fight no one. Who else was there? Some other bum, no doubt, didn't fight no one. Yeah? But yeah, listen, Floyd, all jokes aside, he telling real talk. And that's what I don't understand about Floyd. Floyd has the clout, yeah, and all of the infrastructure. And I've been saying this with DAZN. Why doesn't DAZN team up with Floyd or Eddie, or they've already with Eddie Hearn? Why haven't they made a belt like the UFC model? I've been saying for the longest time, DAZN's plan is to invest billions, tens of or hundreds of millions. In fact, they paid out Canelo 400 million, and that was in his first contract. He's on to another $400 million contract. So DAZN, and that's just Canelo, throw in AJ, between 2 fighters, DAZN is shelled out over $1 billion. The question is, why didn't they invest that into some real infrastructure? Okay, you know what? We're gonna invest a load of money, but we're gonna make a model like the UFC's. Yeah, we're gonna make our own the DAZN belt. The glory, you know what I mean? And you could do it where every belt winner makes 500 grand or $1 million on top. Do you know what I mean? Just to give it some pizzazz. Every winner gets $1 million for winning a DAZN belt. That'll attract people. Well, that's the bad thing, you see. In this era where these fighters are overpaid, I mean, in the UFC, yeah, if you made a model which paid $1 million, UFC fighters would be straight over there because they're thirsty. But boxers, I mean, apparently Rolly got paid 2 or 3 million. He literally was losing against bums, and then fights Tank, gets knocked out, does nothing in the fight. 2, 3. It's unspeakable. It's an unspeakable crime. The fact that Bummy Bumero got paid 2, 3 million bucks. I don't know where they're doing that at. It's a proper myth, if you ask me. But yeah, like I said, boxing's in the doldrums right now. Floyd is right, and for whatever reason, yeah, Floyd's saying this for his own benefit. He doesn't want his legacy to be undermined. He doesn't want, as I've explained, he doesn't want a whole bunch of people who have beat more world champions than him. He doesn't want more people who have gone up more weight divisions than him. That's his problem. But for whatever reason, whatever his reasons are, he's telling the truth here. Yeah, and actually, he's not gone far enough, in my opinion. He needs to tell the government, well, that's the problem, you see. There's too much financial interest As Floyd explains, Floyd says these guys get paid commissions. Therefore, if you have one belt, you get paid one commission. If you have 10 belts, you get paid 10 commissions. It's a simple capitalistic structure. And that's why I'm not sure, but there should be some governing body who sits over the sport and doesn't allow. It's just got way out of control. At the moment, it seems to be the governing body. That's what they're called. The WBC and WBA, they're governing bodies. They're the ones who hand the rules down. They are the top guys. So it's no real shock that they're pumping out belts. But there should be really, for example, I don't know, in the NBA, you have different teams, but there's one NBA, isn't there? There's not the equivalent of different belts here is like different basketball tournaments. It's like having the NBA and the MNBA. Imagine that. Imagine it. Imagine having 2 or 3 different basketball organizations, and then the teams don't it's really weird. It's really odd how boxing really works. You can have someone in the WBA cycle who never fights someone in the IBF. Only when we get an undisputed fight do we see the crossover. It's completely messed up. I'm not sure. The only people it really benefits is the governing bodies. It benefits their money. It kills the sport. The sport's dead, in my opinion. And little things like I've been saying for ages, the sport of boxing needs to change the gloves. We should be having 4-ounce UFC gloves. Much more exciting knockouts. Much better. It shows you have to display much better skills with 4-ounce gloves on, because with these big 10 or 8-ounce gloves on, it's much easier. Put your guard up and just hide and kill fights. For example, Mikey Garcia versus Errol Spence. He came and just stood there with his guard up. But when you've got, how many times in UFC do you see guys able to just stand there and put their guard up? You can't, because in 4-ounce gloves, shots go straight through. There is no foolproof way to defend yourself. Plus, how many people do you see in UFC passing away? But I believe boxing, the gloves, create more damage because you can take more shots over time. When you've got small gloves on, they clip you. You go out quickly. It's actually better to go out quickly. When you get pummeled, and essentially the padded gloves are taking a lot of the force off, which means you can take more repetitive damage. Rather than taking one shot and being out, you're taking 15, 20, 30 shots, which over time, in sparring and all these other things, accumulates and makes it worse. So all round, entertainment, fighter safety, the whole lot, skills, the whole lot is worsened by the gloves. Another thing I mentioned the other day about the clinching. Clinching should be banned. Bottom line, yeah? If you're it should be banned. There should be no clinching should not be in the sport. You stand up and you punch, or you tuck your elbows in. That's it. Yeah? Or you move your feet. There shouldn't be no option especially, it's hard enough fighting tall people, yeah? Tall people don't need no more advantages, like being able to clinch and just hang on you. What's that about? Why would you give tall people more of an advantage? What's the benefit of clinching? In my opinion, and that's another thing, clinching delays the inevitable. Clinching isn't really a boxing skill. Yeah? If a fighter can't defend himself, he shouldn't be allowed to clinch and be saved for another day. A clinch or no clinching would mean fighters are stopped earlier as well. Clinching just means, okay, get punched up, nearly knocked out, clinch, recover a bit, punched up some more. Do you know what I'm saying? If there was no clinching, them guys would be stopped a lot earlier. There'd be a lot less damage. So all around, and these innovations would obviously all of them add massively to entertainment value. Who's looking at these things? No one. But yet the governing bodies, and honestly, I wouldn't mind so much, if these governing bodies were making all these belts, but at the same time innovating the rule sets, like I've explained, with the gloves, the clinching, and little things like that. You'd say, well, there's pros and there's cons. But all we've seen them do is milk and milk and milk. They've brought nothing. Boxing rules haven't changed in 100 years. What's that about? Are you telling me we haven't learnt nothing in 100 years? I don't believe that. And that's what makes me laugh. It's odd how boxing rules have changed. It used to be that there was just, I think it started off with just no rounds. It started off, you just go in there and it's last man standing. Then it changed to, I think it was 3-minute rounds until last man standing. And then it changed to, some fights would go like 100 rounds. Yeah? Then it changed to 12 threes. All of them were to increase entertainment and to help fighter safety. But that was about 80, 90 years ago. So why hasn't it moved on since? I mean, like I said, there is no body above the belts. Yeah? They're the guys who will have to implement these changes. And that's in a way why I say it's even worse that we've got multiple belts, because if you have one body, like the UFC, it's easy to change rules. Dana White can change whatever he wants to change. These guys, for example, the WBA, they can't, if they change something, then they will be essentially spinning off their own sport, won't they? If the WBA wants to make a change, and the others don't agree, then it'll almost be like, well, the WBA is a whole different sport now, because you wear different gloves and and who wants to take that risk? It's different. If all the governing bodies agree, it's completely different, because then that just becomes what it is. That's just our new reality. But if only one wants to change and the others don't, no one's going to take that risk of potentially people saying, well, that they're rocking the boat. People love this, for the most part, humans love the status quo. They don't like change. But anyway, fair play to Floyd, but the real question is, what's he going to do about it? He's got the resources, he's got the clout. I mean, if Floyd can't make a change, who's going to do it? That's the bottom line here. Putting videos out complaining, what's that going to do? Realistically, nothing will change, because people love money, people are greedy, and that's what the belt system's about. Greedy and love money. And realistically, like I said, I think there should be 1 or 2 belts, but for example, the WBA, they're not going to disappear, are they? Or the IBF aren't going to disappear. And that's why I do find it odd. When it started off with the WBA, yeah, then it was the WBC. When did we just start letting new ones in? And it begs the question, when will it stop? Okay, it started off with WBA, then a few decades later it was WBC. At which point did we allow the IBF to come in? I just don't. I'm baffled when that became a thing. And actually, I think it might be Nigel Benn. Nigel Benn might have been one of the first people to start defending the IBF belt. He won it and it wasn't a real belt back then. But that's what happened, you see. Belts start off not real, and then a fighter who's not at the top of his game clocks on and says, wait, you know what? I want to be world champion. Let me fight for this belt. And that's how it starts. What's that other one? Chris Eubank Jr.'s got a belt, or had a belt. What was it? IBE? I'm not sure. One of them ones. But it's just dodgy. Yeah? It's unneeded as well. Anyway, it's sad. I wish it looked as if there was some light at the end of the tunnel, like there was some change coming, but ain't nothing going to change. 100%, no doubt.